Right, so welcome everyone. It's so great to have you with us today on our monthly HeartPowered Speaking Community Call. And I know there's quite a few here that have been with us before, but some of you have not been with us. So I would like to welcome you, all the first timers, and everyone that's been loyal with us as well. But for the first timers, just so you get to know me, my name is Monique Roxel. I'm the founder of HeartPowered Business, and HeartPowered Speaking is a part of that. And our mantra is speak up, scale up, impact the world. And when you speak up, scale up, impact the world in a greater way, and we do it together, we create a massive impact together. And we at HeartPowered Business have helped hundreds of clients from more than 50 countries go professional with their speaking. And also, as they started to use the power of their voice and speak up more, a lot of them doubled, tripled, even quadrupled their income, even in Corona times with our Voice to Millions framework. And I myself, I've been a paid speaker for more than 20 years now. I've been on stages in more than 25 countries on 5 continents. And if you really want to use speaking to grow your business further, we also always share with you our speak to scale map in the chat throughout the call, so you can take advantage of that, where I compiled my top 50 ways of how to use speaking to really boost your business and your impact to a different level. But this session is not about me, right? And also, just so you know, you might be aware of it, you might already be a member of it. These calls that we are running right now, we also started them as part of our HeartPowered Global Nation community, where we help speakers and change makers just like you to connect with each other, exchange with each other, support each other. And we're also going to share the link to that community in the chat throughout the call, so that you can also join us in case you're not a member yet. It's a free membership. We just welcome you and love to support you as best as we can as you step up with your speaking and your business. But as I said earlier already, this session is not about me at all. It's all about you. And it's about, of course, our precious guest that will inspire you today to really get really practical hands-on hints and tips that you can apply right away. You can also ask your personal question on how to make your speaking and your business flourish further. This is also your opportunity to connect with other professional speakers, get to know each other, connect with each other. Also, if you have any kind of high priority projects you want us to know about, at the end of our session today, we give you a space to share where you need support, or anything that you would like us to know about, and us being ambassadors for you. And then also, for some of you it's morning, some of you it's lunchtime, for some of you it's evening, depending on where you are from around the world. Just come and take a break and have a lot of fun with us and get inspired. As we always do, we make it very interactive, so ask your questions anytime. Our guest speaker today will answer questions as we go, and then also at the end of our session together. And also, when you're not speaking, please mute yourself so we have a sparkling recording. And yes, this is video recorded, so when you're speaking up, sometimes we bring you into the room also to get seen. But I know you're a speaker, so of course you love to be on stages, also on virtual stages. But without further ado, let's jump right in. Today, what we talk about is how you amplify your message and expand your reach through books and other ways of writing. Today, we'll really explore the power of writing that transforms not only minds, but also hearts, so that you can really use your own words in a written way to attract and build relationships with readers. Okay, because often as speakers, we're also getting our wisdom out in written format. A lot of us are writing books, a lot of us are writing, posts and articles and whatever else. So we love you to use your writing to really build bridges from your heart and mind to your audience's heart and mind, to expand your reach. We'll cover very practical strategies for reaching a wider audience and making a lasting impact through your writing. And today, I couldn't have invited a better and more experienced lady and friend of mine. Her name is Kim Vermaak. She is the Mindset Whisperer. She's the member of the PSASA. And if you don't know what that is, it's a Professional Speakers Association for Southern Africa. She's also a champion coach of the Book Writer Mastermind. And today she'll share with you her personal experiences on on how to get your writing out there and reach a greater reach and build strong connections. But before we jump in, let me introduce and say a few words about our amazing Kim, that is our expert guest today. She is a multi-talented South African author, speaker, trainer, and a bookstore owner who has been helping authors, entrepreneurs, and knowledge workers build their brands for more than 20 years. So she brings a wealth of knowledge and experience that she's sharing with all of us today. Her superpower lies in using crushing events to transform not only herself, but also the minds and hearts of others. And by tapping into her wealth of knowledge and expertise today, and in general, her clients ranging from aspiring authors to entrepreneurs and brand managers have been able to build successful bookpreneur businesses. So Kim, a long introduction, but it's wonderful to have you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's really a great honor to be here, and I thank everyone for joining in. By show of hands, I know there's been in the chat box, who is currently writing at all? Okay, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Who's writing first time? Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so a little bit about me. Yes, I hail from South Africa, and I started writing. I've always been a storyteller, but I actually started publishing just before COVID in South Africa. And on the day before the South African president announced that we were going to be going into lockdown, that was the day that I had my first in-person book launch. And it was quite an eye-opening exercise for me, because prior to that point, I had a different kind of business, which was very geared towards in-person events. And of course, that income stream just completely disappeared because we had absolutely no events. And then I realized that the only income that I earned at that time was from my books. So I had then moved from a hobbyist into full-time author, and I started realizing the power that it could make to my family, but also the power that it could have to other people. So by show of hands, who are speakers at the moment? Okay. Excellent, excellent. All right, so I went the other way around. I did writing, and then I went into publishing afterwards. But a little bit about my background in stories. So way back when South Africa started doing its rollout of blackouts, in which we are still stuck in that, we had this terrible thing called load shedding. And when the first one started, we were completely unprepared. We got this notice, okay, well, they're going to have load shedding. We didn't really know what that looked like, what that meant. And I had a very young daughter at that stage. And there are things that parents realize very quickly, that routine and predictability really makes children feel safe. And I lost that when we had the blackouts, because number one, it was winter. Now, I know some other people have got snow, but we are climatized in South Africa that there is no snow, and our houses are not as well insulated as places that do have snow. So we do feel the cold, even though we don't have those plummeting temperatures. And the place that we were staying in had absolutely no windows in the bedrooms. So there was no sunlight that was coming through. So I was lying there with myself and my husband and my little girl, and we were freezing. Hi, Ian. Really, really, really cold. I was sitting with this massive jacket on. It was my husband's jacket. It was fur lined, but I was still freezing. And I didn't have anyone to keep me warm, because I had to keep this little girl warm. And she was asking me questions. Mommy, when is the power coming on? Mommy, when can I have a cup of tea? Why can't I have a shower? We didn't have any gas heaters with us. We didn't even have candles. We were just completely unprepared. And the only thing that I had was the power of my voice and the power of my imagination. So what I did with my daughter is I said to her, give me a character, any character, and I will make up a story for you. And the reason that I did that was to empower her so that she could feel like she was in control, because she'd lost all of this power. She couldn't, besides the power of electricity, she couldn't have any control over the environment. And so as a very young child, there's certain things that going and switching on a light makes you feel like you are in control. Going and being able to make yourself your own cup of tea makes you feel like you're in control. And so she lost that, and it was a terrible time. I had a friend of mine who did play therapy, and she said that the amount of children that came through her practice in that time really spiked because they really didn't know what was going on. Children whose parents were going through divorces and things like that, they struggled even more than what they did beforehand. And so I began to realize that there was tremendous power in the ability to tell stories, to control that narrative. And so as speakers, we often get that kind of power inside the room. But how many of you know, sometimes just by show of hands, that sometimes even though lots of other people have said to you, well, your talk is amazing and you're empowering people, that sometimes there are people who are disconnected in your room? How many have felt that beforehand? Yeah, I certainly have. And sometimes it's got absolutely nothing to do with you as a speaker. Sometimes it's got to do with the fact that they've been going through a really, really hard time. Maybe they've just lost a spouse. Maybe something really bad happened. Or maybe they have that moment like, oh, geez, I think I left the stove on. And, you know, they're completely disengaged in that moment. And so what I realized is that books gave us the ability to expand our reach. It gave us the ability to resource someone that if they have been disengaged, they can then re-engage at a later stage. And then another question that I have to ask is, how many of you have been in a room beforehand? You love the speaker. He or she brings a tremendous energy and power, but for some reason, the promises that you make to yourself in that room, you don't fulfill. Anyone ever felt that? Certainly. Now, I see Ian is in the room. So Ian is like an excellent example. He did this talk with a virtual speakers group some time ago, and he had this incredible interactive tool. And I looked at the tool and I'm like, that is just absolutely amazing. Now, my husband is also in training. And I said, I'm going to tell my husband about that tool because he just has to use it in his sales training. I was just blown away. It was this thing where everyone could enter in a vote, and then all of a sudden the letters got bigger and smaller depending on how many people voted. But when that thing finished, I could not remember the name of that tool at all. I didn't have my notebook prepared in front of me, and I'm like, that name is so easy to remember. I just couldn't remember it. And so that's where books also become incredibly powerful, because some of those tools that you have, you can re-look at, you can read it up again. So books are very intimate. They come into your personal space. They transcend that feeling that you had at the time, and they move into something that you can apply later. Now, does anyone have a favorite book that they feel has transformed their life? I'd like you to just, by show of hands, tell us if you've got one, and then tell us a little bit about that book. Monique, can you let people just share with us what is a book that's transformed their lives? I saw Cynthia had her hand up, and Marie.
Hi, Kim. The book for me was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was kind of an aha moment as a young person and taught me lessons that I've used through my corporate career and now as an independent business person as well.
Well done. Okay, Marie?
It would have been How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci by Michael J. Gelb. That goes into all the different signs of just thinking multidimensionally and like a gifted Renaissance person, even when you're not feeling like one.
Excellent. I think, Tim, you had your hand up?
Yes, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. That question.
Excellent.
Mindset, visualization, creation, business, just a different perspective from the ongoing narrative.
Excellent. Anyone else? Okay, Anaya.
Yeah, the book that transformed me is Who Will Cry When You Die by Robin Sharma. So small nuggets that we can apply without anybody's recognition, like, it's all internal and nobody has to really know what we are doing, and it still transforms you with a small gratitude rock or whatever. You just wake up early. It's transformed me a lot.
Well done. Anyone else? Ian?
So mine is Now Discover Your Strengths by Marcus Buckingham. It was my permission to be me.
Very good. Someone else? Okay, we've got 3 people. So we'll make those the last 3 people. Simon, I don't know how you pronounce Agnes, and Dr. Mo.
Okay, The Inside Out Revolution by Michael Neal.
Agnes?
Yes, The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton and Anything Joe Dispenza.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Mo, our last person?
Yes, for me, it was The Greatest Networker in the World by John Milton Fogg. It was
Excellent.
It was actually a story, a very beautiful story. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So my book was Little Voice Mastery by Blair Singer. So when I wrote my book, when I wrote my first manuscript, I wrote 45,000 words in a 2-week space of time. And I was so excited about the fact that I had finished this book. And then I did a little bit of research because I love research. And I found out that if I wanted to put this manuscript out to a publisher in the genre that I was writing in, which was medieval fantasy, they would require a minimum of 65,000 words. It wouldn't take anything less than that. And the ideal word count was 90,000 words. Well, when that happened, my courage failed. I got blown out the water and I thought, I just can't do this. I had done the 45,000 words because it was our industry's holiday period. And so it was very easy for me to write. The industry just shut down completely. So I had 2 weeks that I had nothing, no big priority. So it was pretty easy. But doing those 45,000, another 45,000 words inside the working space, that was just too much, and my courage failed. And I happened to have Blair Singer's book on my desk because I was writing an article about something else. So when I opened it up, I saw the section that said that the creator of the universe has got a special gift that they are wanting to deliver to the world through you. And that could be a whole bunch of different things. You could do a heart transplant, you could design a new form of kitty cat litter, or you could have a special message that's got to get through the world, but it's unique to you. And so when I looked at that, because I believe that we are designed for purpose, it felt to me that if I didn't continue with those words, that it would almost be an act of disobedience for the purpose that I was created for. And so it was quite sobering, but that gave me the courage to continue writing. And just like all of you have had that aha moment, there you have got a message that you can share with other people. And that is tremendously powerful. So don't underestimate what you are capable of in expanding your reach. So I'm going to just try and get access to my slides, which is not being very helpful. I've just lost them all again. Monique, can I ask you to just bring up the slides until I manage to sort out what my little tech issue is over here?
Yeah, of course. I have them as a PDF, so I can bring that up if that helps.
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. I think I found mine. I've got this disappearing button, which is quite annoying.
That's okay, as long as you find the appearing button again.
Absolutely. Let's go. Just get it open.
You're such a master, Kim.
I tell you, I love what technology can do for you, but I do not like it when it doesn't play games with you.
Well, I guess
there you go.
You all are speakers and authors. We know the feeling, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to be dealing now with expanding your reach. This is the part that you might want to get out a little pen and paper to start working with. So, as I said, my journey, we've already covered that, was when the lights went out. Okay, but you have your story, your journey. So I'd like people to share with us, just as a 1 minute, something that has happened in your life where you had to draw on your personal sense of courage. It doesn't have to be a massive thing, or it can be a massive thing if you feel all right about being vulnerable. But I'd like to hear from the group, what is one thing that if you could go back to your younger self and you had to speak words of courage into that person, what would those words be? By show of hands, who would like to share with us? Okay, Simon?
Yeah, if I was giving advice to my younger self now, it would be walk your own path.
I like that. I like that. Anyone else? Because I'm on share screen, I can't see all the hands. Monique, can you see the hands? Okay, Marie has got a message. Tell us what your message would be.
You are not alone. And it sounds so cheesy, but if I'd actually realized that it's true, it would have helped me so much. So there are resources we have far richer than what we are aware of, and they arrive when we need them.
I totally resonate with that.
Galia,
I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name.
Galia, yes, correct. Thank you. Don't let anyone to steal your dreams. Follow your dreams boldly.
Excellent. Someone else?
We have Cynthia wanted to share.
Yeah, I was going to say the same as, you're not alone, but really the kind of second message comes with it is everything will turn out okay. And it's just to know that as a young person, that everything was going to be okay, and that you are not alone. That's what the message would be.
Great, and we have
very good. Do you have someone else?
Yeah, we have Subia as well.
So for me, it would be your uniqueness is your superpower. I think we spend far too much time comparing ourselves to other people. But when we look at our own uniqueness, that really is our superpower. And if we listen to that and we step more and more into that, I think it shows our superpower, and then we don't need to compare ourselves to other people.
Very nice.
That's a powerful one, Subia. And you are a superpower as well, knowing you. Okay, we have Ananya as well.
Yeah, my message is happiness is our choice, and we can be happy whatever is happening in our lives.
Amazing. And Doug.
You're worth it. Suicide is not the answer.
Oh, such a powerful message. Thank you, Doug, for sharing that. I know that all of you are doing such amazing work in the world. And I was also saying in the chat, put your message in the chat so you can really inspire with each other and, and connect with each other as well if you resonate with each other's message. Because a lot of you, share a mission or a message as well. And for me, Kim, I mean, my message is really like everyone has a voice worth shared, worth going to millions. So, we have a voice to millions framework. Our slogan is speak up, scale up, impact the world. We know that, every one of you has a story, has an inspiring message that is worth being shared with millions. And you can build a business structure around it to reach an income of millions, right? Because again, when you share your voice with more people and you really have a business, a legacy, scalable business set up to bring your message out there in a bigger way without just selling your time, you can make a bigger impact in the world. So that is our heart-powered business.
Excellent. I think Anya still has, Agnes, she's got a story. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry for that. I can't find the raise hands for whatever reason, so sorry. So no, my message is that midlife and beyond it's not the beginning of the end. It's the empowered second spring of our life.
Excellent. I like that. Okay, one last person. Is there anyone else who needs to share? Okay, I think we could be done. All right. I love that. I love those very heartfelt messages. And you can imagine that inside your rooms, when you're speaking, there are going to be those kinds of people who have those kinds of messages, but who also need to hear what your message is going to be. So now we're going to get into the business nitty-gritty stuff. So active income, which is what we are doing when we're speakers. And I mean, we can love what we're doing. I love speaking. I love sharing. I love teaching. But when I think about what my life is going to be like in the next 50 years, because I plan to have a 50th wedding anniversary with my husband. He's about 15 years older than I am. I have to really think about what is it going to be like when I'm really old. I might still have an active mind, which is what my dream and my wish is. But I have to be honest that my body is going to have times when it's going to say, I can't work at the pace that what I'm working at now. And there's staggering statistics for those people who, and I don't know the American statistics, but in South Africa, they were saying that if you want your income at 40,000 Rand in South Africa, which is not a very high level income, it's something that you can live on. An average middle class family can live on a 40,000 Rand income. But if you wanted to have that and have it every single month, and you wanted your retirement annuity to last for 30 years, drawing out 40,000 Rand a month, you would have to have 10.8 million Rand saved up. So when I had a look at that, I thought to myself, the average person doesn't have that really high level of savings. And some horrible statistics is that things like medical expenses, which you will need more of as you age, that increases at a rate higher than inflation. So whatever statistics your country is putting out on how much you need to live on, that is going to change as you need more money to stay mobile and healthy and take care of those aches and pains and fallen out tooth or broken or hip replacements or whatever it is that we start needing when we're older. So that brings us to mind, are we going to have to work at the pace we're currently working at for the rest of our lives. That is really, really hard reality. But if you have got a book catalog and you market it well, the book prices are going to escalate with inflation. So essentially, your message that's in your heart that you need to expand to other people is going to grow with you. But there are a couple of things that you can expand on. So currently, if you've got a book catalog, you can link your ebook to your consulting practice. You can link it to courses. You can get additional speaking engagements. You can get subscriptions to programs that you have. If you are a person that does affiliate marketing that is related to your core industry, you can do those links in your book. And then we have something that I personally love, and that's read through. Now, many speakers produce one book only. And sometimes as authors, we also produce one book only. But read through is the percentage of people that read your first book that will read through to your next books. So essentially, your first book becomes an advertisement to other books. So I had an author contact me recently, and she said to me, shall she take her message and put it into one book, or can she put it into a couple of sections? She had a poll where people could vote on that. And I said, I believe she should do it as 4 books, because that gives you momentum so that people can flow through, and then you start building a brand that they're always going to want to read your material. So that's the power of read through, is that there's less money put into marketing for the second, third, and fourth book, because the first book is already doing the work for you. So something like Amazon, which is not the only book platform in the world, but it certainly is one of the biggest ones. They're represented in 50 different countries in the world. Now, for me, that's pretty exciting, because those people who come from South Africa know that our rand can be a little bit naughty from time to time. It plummets, we have some kind of political uprising, and then all of a sudden you are in a difficult situation. Now, as a South African, I don't like it when our currency doesn't do well, because it creates a bad perception of our country. But as an author, I get a little secret like high five, like, oh, yay, the rand has gone down. I'm still earning in dollars. That means I'm going to have more discretionary income at the end of the month. So although I love my country, I have this mantra: work locally, earn globally. And the bulk of my readers are sitting in the United States of America. So this is a mindset that we have to work on as authors very strongly. We underestimate what we can do in the long term, but we overestimate what we can do in the short term. And that's where a lot of people get stuck, because they have these big goals, and then when they don't achieve them, then they think, oh, this is not working. I'm not good enough. People don't like my books. But there's nothing that can be further from the truth. The only thing that you have not done is you have not applied compounding interest to that. So does anyone have a credit card, by show of hands? So in COVID, there were quite a few people that got into trouble with their credit cards. Their income dried up and they couldn't cover the full balance at the end of the month. Sometimes it was just 1 month, sometimes it was quite a couple of months. And then you got compounding interest. Interest upon interest upon interest. And we know it from a negative perspective, but if you flip it around, you can see it from a positive perspective, is that the readership that you build today is going to compound. As you add to it, just like a savings account, it's going to grow and grow, and you're going to have compounding interest inside your book and speaking career. So just the lotto, I don't know if anyone's taken out a lotto ticket, but when I was younger, I certainly did take out a lotto ticket, and we often approach publishing from this perspective. We look at the J.K. Rowlings, we look at the John Maxwells, really big names, and we think we're going to have a publishing career, put out that book, and all of a sudden the royalties are going to be rolling in. We're going to take cruises. We don't have to worry about things. And when we do get older, all of those knee replacements are going to be taken care of. And that is a mentality that we have to break in ourselves. We all know intuitively that our chances of winning the lotto are very, very slim, but we don't apply that knowledge when it comes to our speaking and author careers. There's no one big break. You've got to work at it. Okay, so the next concept that I need to speak to you all about is an asset. A book catalog is actually an asset for you. You write that book once, and it has the ability to continue bringing cash flow into your bank account. But obviously, like any kind of an asset, it is something that you have got to build. But the beauty of books is that you don't have to do a massive cash flow outlay. Yes, if you go and print a whole bunch of books and you're selling them in your talks in the back of the room, yes, you have to have quite a decent amount of cash flow to pay for those books. But if you're going to be publishing on a platform like Amazon, your major costs would be your editing costs and the cover costs, because that's what people are buying from it. The cover is the first thing that they see that tells them whether they want to buy the book or not. On the back is your sales pitch, your blurb, where people say, do they want to engage with this author? And of course, the inside of the book is going to be related to the customer experience. So if your quality is good, then people are going to associate you with quality, and they're going to want to read what your next books are about. Okay, so your goal as authors and as speakers is you have to find your audience. You have to attract them, and you have got to retain them. And that is the important strategy that you have to work on. So readers, how well do you know your readers? How well do you know your audience? Has anyone ever built an avatar for their reader and their audience? Can maybe some people share who their ideal audience is? By show of hands, let us know who wants to share who their ideal audience is. Okay, Robert, who's your ideal audience?
Frustrated project managers.
Okay, what makes them frustrated?
Reporting to executives who are innovation incompetent, innovation illiterate.
Okay, and how do you solve that problem?
Formulating a methodology that is more compelling, more exciting, and more profitable than the methodology they're executing today.
Okay, so with all of our readers, they've got a language, they've got to speak, the jargon that they would use, the kinds of things that they would be interested in. And our job as authors and speakers is to know what that is. What are their pain points? What are the things that keep them awake at night? Who else would like to share with us? Okay, Agnes?
Yes, so my ideal audience is a heart-centered, action-taking professional woman, who has lost her mojo. And I help them turn their midlife years and beyond, the next season of their life, into a life of purpose, passion, and impact.
Okay, excellent. And what are the kinds of things that worry them on a daily basis?
It's a combination of things. They have the nagging feeling there must be more to life, and they very likely are feeling separated from their friends, family, etc., because they are on a personal growth journey, and they have come to realize that it's no longer just about them. They want to make an impact, a difference in the world.
Okay, so if I was a person that formed into that bracket, which I actually am, I got through to a stage in my life when I looked at the mirror and I thought, I have spent my whole working career building someone else's dreams.
Yeah.
Working on their brand, working on what they want, being a mother, taking care of my kids, being a wife. And when I looked in the mirror, I kind of realized I didn't recognize myself anymore. That person that had the dreams and aspirations had disappeared. And so writing became, for me, something that allowed me to rekindle my purpose and what my identity was. So if you were sending a short message to someone like me on a weekly basis, what kinds of things would you talk to me about?
To me, it's all about women stepping into their power, embracing who they truly deserve to be. That's why I have trademarked New Paradigm Woman. So she knows that she's destined for more, and it's a very holistic approach. So I'm not waiting for others to decide who I am and what I'm allowed to do, etc. I am stepping up, and I'm overcoming the fear, because of course I'm very afraid of going there. So there are so many topics that I can talk about on a regular basis.
Anyone else? Cynthia.
So my message to the world is I'm talking about acceptance without understanding. It's for people who are really looking for the solution of how to deal with the diverse world that we live in, but they're not really sure the path forward. And so that's the audience that I speak to.
And what is something that you might share with those people on a weekly basis, if you had that platform?
Yeah, so with the folks, it's talking about kind of the perspectives of, realizing that society is being created, and the way that we have grown up is we're a society that's being built on understanding in order to accept, especially when we talk about diverse people. And so the whole idea is to turn that model on its head and to ask them to accept without understanding, because it creates this magic safe space in order for us to have dialogue, not to agree, but to come to accepting each other as human beings and how we exist together in society.
Excellent. I like that. Okay, one more person. Let's take one more person.
Well, if no one else wants to speak up, I can, but I would like to give the space to someone else, because Kim, you and I know each other, so.
Okay, I did see someone who had their hand up. It was a gent, and I can't quite
Sophia
find
has her hand up at the moment.
Okay.
So my audience is people who struggle with their confidence, but hold back because they don't want to be arrogant. So I speak about a concept called humble confidence, and it's about spirituality, owning your uniqueness, staying away from arrogance, and how you can really step into that to share your value with those around you. And ideally, I'd like to speak to those who are within the workplace, leaders. And so that's my target audience.
I love that. I love that, because I mean, sometimes you kind of overcompensate when you're not feeling confident, and that can come across quite badly. So thanks everyone for sharing with that. I mean, I love the group. I love the heartfelt ideas that you have. I think you're going to make amazing inroads into people's hearts and minds. Okay, so this is something that is a little bit tricky. I had this exercise yesterday with one of my clients, and it took quite some time, because we intuitively know what's inside the book, but we don't really know what other people are looking for and typing into Amazon. And I'm going to use Amazon here as an example, because Google has got a very different way of working to what Amazon is. They're essentially both search engines, but they've got their own algorithms because they're designed for different situations. They both are problem solvers in the fact that if I want to learn how to make the best pancakes, I can go onto Google and look for that. But the results that come up are sometimes very different to what comes up on Amazon. So I did a little bit of research recently and I typed in the word passive income because that's part of what our topic is today. And you'll see that when I did it, the software that we use to help authors find their ideal niche for when they're positioning their books, this comes up and tells us that passive income, there are 1,200 authors that have positioned their book in for that keyword. So that's not the category, that's the key words. And those of you who are on LinkedIn, if you link in with me, I will send you an article that explains this in more detail. But it also shows us that on monthly searches, Amazon users are looking for the words passive incomes 564 times. And the top earners, so not everyone, but the top earners are earning $999 US a month. Now, if you go to the example that's at the bottom, where it says passive income aggressive retirement, there are only 988 competitors with that in comparison to the 1,200. And yet the top earners are earning $2,502 US per month. So that's a big jump from just under 1,000 to 2,500. And the reason that I'm showing you this slide is when you publish a book and you load it onto Amazon, the types of keywords that you type in are going to make a big difference in the way that the potential earnings. Now, understand that you still have to market the book, but it has a big impact in terms of your ability to earn and also your ability to touch more hearts and minds. So you can see that all of these all say passive income. The last one has got 2 different words that are added to it. So whatever your genre is, when you publish a book and you put it onto Amazon, don't just put what you intuitively think should go in there, because you are not your reader. You are the author. You have to connect with what your reader wants, what their pain point is. I don't know how many of you have read the book, The 5 Love Languages. By show of hands, has anyone read that book? Well, I read that book some time ago and I realized that the way that I speak to my spouse can be interpreted entirely different to what I wanted it to be. So I'm definitely a words of affirmation person, and I'm also an acts of service person. But my husband is a physical touch person. So, you know, he wants to have his hand held. He wants you to rub his back. He wants you to do those kinds of things. For me, do something for me that shows that you care about me, or say something nice about me. Say, wow, you did a really awesome presentation the other day. I absolutely love that. And also with my husband, he likes to protect me by finding the areas in my life that things can potentially go wrong. He can say, oh, did you know that there's this problem and that problem? And because I'm a person of affirmation, I don't like that. I don't want you to tell me all the problems that can occur. Just go fix them. Say, I saw this problem and I fixed it. Don't come tell me what the problem is. That's the kind of person that I am. So we are 2 people living in the same house, eating the same food, watching a lot of the same movies. We've got the same kind of books, but we interpret the world very differently. So we can't make assumptions for what our audience is looking for. I'm just going to grab a little bit of water here. So one of the powerful tools that we have at our disposal, and we have this inside our website, but we've got it inside our books, is on the ebooks to add in a hyperlink that's going to link to all of these other pages. So your other books that you've written, the courses that you sell, any other landing pages, if you've got a speaker's page, you can put in your ebook, click here to book me for your next talk. Or what some speakers have is they've got a short free course. They can put the link into the book and they say, click here and get hold of the free course that I've got available, or book a discovery call. So my reader magnet is this book, What Would a Successful Author Do? The Power of the Reader Magnet. Now, those people who watch the presentation, who go onto my speaker score page, and you review this particular talk, because, you know, as speakers, we love to hear what people have to say, you'll get the link to download that free book. And that teaches you how to implement a reader magnet into your website for your books or for your talks. Okay, so this all hinges on having a newsletter. Who has a newsletter? By show of hands, who's got a newsletter? Okay, let's have a look. Excellent. Ian, you are just a genius. He's got all of the things in place. If anyone hasn't been onto Ian's website, go in there. I realized the other day that I am a striver and that I need to calm it down a little bit and come up with my great creative genius. And I'm pretty sure Ian and Marie are going to teach me how to do that, because I want to jump up in the morning like a gazelle and go. So maybe I won't live as long, but my books will live longer than me. So I take some comfort in that. Okay, so with a newsletter, the people who shared with us the kinds of messages that they want to carry on to their ideal audience, this is where you're going to share those messages. In my newsletter, I have a break of mindset and skills. So I pass on to my reader some kind of issue that we're often struggling with, like giving ourselves permission to write when we are doing other things. Not at the same time, but still making time for ourselves to live out our dreams, to share our message, to build our legacy. So those are the kinds of things that I share in that newsletter. And then something that's happening in the world of publishing, that's how I add value to the authors that are part of my community. And then for my fiction series, which is a medieval fantasy series, I share words of hope and inspiration, things that happened in medieval times, and the kinds of lessons that we can glean from that. And what I'd love to tell you is that you have no idea who's sitting outside there and needing to find out your message. I had people that have contacted me to say, I'm losing my home. I've had people say, I've just lost my friend who had cancer that I'm communicating with all the time, and I love your messages. I just want to connect with you. Would you be prepared to talk to me, or just share with me some insights that you had? I had someone send me their family recipe book that had recipes from almost 100 years going back. That was absolutely amazing. So you've got the power to get into people's hearts and minds inside their homes. It's incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've already discussed the read through. Again, the people that are doing multiple books, you've got the power to have extra reads through other books. And we've spoken about expanding your reach. Now, collaboration. This is something that the average author struggles with. In this community, we understand it a little bit better. But in corporate, this is a struggle, because only one person can win that training contract. Only one person can get that generator contract. But with authors, we can share each other's books. We can have quite a collaborative community. And also when you do the speaker score thing, I will share with you my favorite tools for helping to build cross-promotion and collaboration. Okay, so the last questions that I have for you is, now that you know of all of these different things that you can do, how far will you be able to go? And our acronym for FAR is to find your audience, attract them, and retain them so that you can start touching more hearts and minds and leave your legacy. So thanks very much for having me. I really appreciate this platform. And if there's anyone else who's got any questions, please feel free to ask them now.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment about Kim's work, and that is that this morning I spoke to a very, very delighted client that she's creating a book or assisting with their book publishing process, who just could not say enough. Quote unquote, Kim is a machine and she's just brilliant at what she does. And Kim, it was so great to hear this session from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And good luck with your daughter's wedding this week. What a week.
Thank you so much for that comment. Is there anyone else who'd like to ask a question?
A question is, there's content in, like, my first book is really a life philosophy, self-help kind of book. And I'm using elements of stories from my life as examples of how I learned something or when I learned something in teaching that. My editor that I'm working with out of California has suggested that I needed to tell a lot more. Like, she's going, well, who are these people? Like, you know, who were family members? And go, but that's my second book. My second book is my autobiography. And so I don't want to tell all those stories. I want to save them for the second book. You had talked a little bit about kind of the idea of, do you preserve, you know, something in one book, or do you kind of tell it throughout? Can you kind of go over that again? Because in my mind, it's like, I don't want to cannibalize the second book for the sake of, you know, filling out. And to your opening point, the first thing she told me is that, yeah, my 28,000 words was not enough, and I need to push it over 50,000 just to get to the point of us actually have a working manuscript. So I got a lot of work ahead of me.
I feel the pain. Yeah. Okay, so if I'm understanding your question is that how much do you share and how much do you retain, so that you've got that extra book? Okay, it is quite a tricky question, but I do believe that in every story that we have, there are other ways of looking at different angles of it. So you could say a lesson that you learned is this, and then you can say, but how does that translate to different kinds of situations? So I can take the exact same lesson that I have in one of my books, and I can explain it in other ways. So I'm going to give you an example. My daughter, who is getting married on Thursday, when she was little, when she was younger and she was dating, and things didn't work out. She was, you know, really unhappy because now she's been rejected. And we've all had that feeling where, like, we feel we're not good enough because someone hasn't accepted us. I used this little analogy. I would say to her, do you like spaghetti bolognese? She's like, that's like our favorite family meal. And I said, but do you like ice cream with chocolate sauce on it? And she says, yes, she loves it. So I said, well, would you take the bolognese sauce and would you put it on the ice cream? And she says, who would do that? So I said, well, either of those sauces, they both are delicious. They just don't mix very well together. And that is a lesson that she had actually shared with her leaders at church, people who were older than her that were going through breakups. And she said, this is what my mom had said. And that person said, wow, like, I've never heard that beforehand. And so I take that same message and I speak to people about when they have their newsletters. And there was a question that someone said, like, how does the newsletter help us grow? Now, one of the things that newsletters do is it helps you to find that correct audience. And when you found the correct audience and someone unsubscribes, you can emotionally let them go. because they are not the right person. They're the bolognese on top of the ice cream. Now, can you see, Cynthia, that I used the exact same story and I used it for a team and I've now used it for an author.
Yeah.
So you can take your stories and you can say, this is the lesson, but how am I going to apply it in other areas so that I have a single mom who says, I get that. Or I have a husband who is feeling disengaged with his wife. How do I work with that situation? I can use that same lesson and just apply it. Now, the point is that when you have a newsletter, and this is to answer the other person's question, when you have a newsletter and you have a new book that comes out, you have a warm audience. You can say, this person solved this problem in the area of my life by addressing something I'm struggling with. The next book is going to come out that's going to address a different dimension or a different phase of life, because the things that I needed when I was younger are sometimes different to what I need now. Now I'm feeling a little bit more confident. When I turned 50, my friend said to me, how do you feel about being 50? And I said, you know what? It's so comforting to not have to care what other people think about me. So, and then she said to me, well, have you ever cared? I'm like, actually, yes, I didn't show it, but I cared very deeply what other people thought about me, and it stopped me from taking action in my life and becoming the person I wanted to become, because I was scared of what other people were saying and what they would think. I didn't want to give myself permission to say, it was okay to be like that in this phase of my life. It's not okay anymore. It's not who I am. So as people journey with you and your newsletter grows, you can start speaking to people in different phases of their lives who still need to hear your message. Okay, any other questions? Let me just have a look in the chat.
We have one final one, if the one from Galia is fast to answer, because I want to honor everyone's time, because these sessions are an hour and we're already above and beyond the hour. Galia, is it something quick you can?
It is not question, it is gratitude to show and to say thank you so much, Kim, for the great insight. Thank you, Monique, for giving us this opportunity. That's all.
It's beautiful. Gratitude is always appreciated. And I think there's, first of all, gratitude from my side to Kim in her very busy week, as her daughter is getting married, right? Still making the space to be with us today. And she brought her fan club like Marie and others as well. So that's beautiful, all right? And I'd like to also thank all of you to be here with us, on this session, but also quite regularly, because you are the real, heroes and stars out there in the world. You have a message worth sharing. You are, unconditionally brave, courageous to inspire others, to empower others. Simon and others even, saving lives, changing lives. So I'd like to give all of you a big round of applause, okay? And, Kim, if you want to round it off with a final inspiring message, let's do that. So we have a beautiful round of this session today. If any one of you has anything you want to make others aware of, you still have an opportunity in the chat to also share that. If you have a book that's coming out you want us to help promote, if you have any events coming up or anything shared with each other, put it into the chat. That's also your space to get support from each other. If you didn't put your LinkedIn link there yet, you can do that. If you want to connect with other speakers, perfect. Also remember, at the beginning of our session, we also shared the HeartPowered Global Nation community link, so join us there. But yeah, thank you all for being on with us. Kim, do you want to have some final rounding off inspiring words for everyone here?
Well, I think that the only thing that I have to say, which a lot of other people have already said, is that you are unique and your message matters. And it actually matters in ways more than you can ever imagine. So do whatever it takes to expand your reach, because you don't know who the person is that really needs to hear your message. I have put into the chat box the speaker score link. Type in the code that's in there. enter in your feedback, and then you'll be able to download the resources that I've uploaded for you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here. It's been great interacting with you all.
Thank you very much, Kim, and thank you all for creating your message and sharing your message and your precious gift in the world. And I like to come back to the quote that you shared, Kim, right? The creator, created you in a way, or, gave you the gift and wants to give the gift to the world through you. So never, ever forget that. Never play small, never doubt yourself, never doubt the value of your message. Go out there, speak it out as speakers, write it out as writers, authors, and the combination of both is the most powerful. So write and speak and get your wisdom out in the world. Okay, don't let the song die inside of you. So as I always say, speak up, scale up, and impact the world in a greater way. And I look forward to connect with some of you above and beyond this session today. And thank you for being on. And again, keep in mind that next month also, we bring another amazing, inspiring guest. But for now, Kim, we want to thank you one more time for being on with us today. Have an amazing, wedding of your girl, and again, keep sharing your brilliance with everyone, and all of you don't miss, okay, giving a little bit of feedback to Kim and taking advantage of all the amazing bonuses she so generously shares. So please download the link, download the code, and take advantage of it. Okay, so all of you go out there, keep creating your own magic in the world, speak up, scale up, impact the world. Let's create a massive impact together, and see you soon. Okay, all the best for now.